We're police officers in Palm Beach County, Florida.
Okay, so let's talk about some of the more important news of the week, and that's four things I want to talk to you about this week. First one has to do with what's going on with the Epstein File and what's going on, most importantly, with what formerly known as Prince Andrew, and he's a goner by now, as you all probably know. More importantly, we want to talk about that. We want to talk about what's going on in Israel. We want to talk about what's going on in the stock market. And finally, we want to talk about what's going on with the shutdown. Okay? So these are all important items that needs to be discussed, needs to be understood, right? Because if you don't understand those, you're missing out the big picture. So let us start. Let us talk, first of all, let's see what's going on. Let's see what is going on with Mr. Epstein. Right? What is going on with this guy? Well, basically, over the past few months, Congress, the Department of Justice, and a handful of investigative journalists have released thousands of pages, as you know. They've released thousands of pages of new Epstein-related documents. Now, we have heard about the 33,000 pages. We have heard, but there was nothing really shocking. Because despite all of that data, the Justice Department now says, and I quote, there is no credible evidence that so-called client list ever existed. Okay, so that's a fact right now. The infamous list that so many believe would expose the powerful doesn't exist. So, as you could see right now, this is inside Epstein's house over in Florida, and you could see what it looked like. But essentially, what's going on here with the Epstein situation? Well, right now, everything that has been released has basically said that, folks, there's nothing to see here. There's nothing to see. Nothing is really going on. It's a big misunderstanding. And we're not going to release any more information because, frankly, there's nothing to be seen. There's nothing going on. No one cares. Well, as you could see, this is his house in Florida. When they went in there. And enjoy the view. But basically, what I also want to update you on is what's going on with Prince Andrew. Well, formerly known as Prince Andrew. Two things that you need to understand here. The first one is, what do we really know about what happened, right? And essentially, see what they're doing to Prince Andrew right now. This is going to give you an idea of what's going to happen once the government opens up and the all information about Epstein's are being released. Everything is supposed to be released. This is a gigantic cover-up at this point. Why are we saying that? Well, first of all, no one at this point really knows. Forget the main story, but as far as the money is concerned, no one really understands how he made his money. Okay? Second, it would appear that Prince Andrew, former Prince Andrew, is in legal troubles. And they are far from over. In 2022, he settled a civil case with survivor Virginia Giuffre, right? A move that spared him from a U.S. trials, but never cleared his name. The Metropolitan Police in the UK have stated that there's no active criminal case at the moment, but that could change. So not only this guy just not a prince anymore, has been kicked out of his 30-room mansion, but now what's going to happen is it is quite possible that they may want to trial him. Literally. Now, new allegations surfaced this fall claiming that Andrew attempted to use his security detail to obtain personal information about Geoffrey. I'm talking about Virginia Giuffre. And now a UK anti-monarchy group called the Republic, listen to this, is exploring a private prosecution, essentially bypassing the government and taking him to court themselves. So they may want to put him to jail after all. Now, it's very important for you to see what they're going to do to him, because once the government reopens, and we'll talk about that, once the government reopens in the US, then everything is cleared for the 218 votes that will release all information about Jeffrey Epstein. And the reason why everybody wants to know about that is because they want to understand the financial implications. Not so much who did what to whom, but more importantly, how did he make his money? Why did Leon Black, the CEO and founder of the Limited, basically give him carte blanche, basically give him power of attorney? Why? Because he was a good financial advisor. So, while no trial is scheduled today, the legal and political pressure is building on both sides of the Atlantic. How did he make his money? That is a question that has not been answered. How did Jeffrey Epstein, a man with no college degree in finance, no SEC registration, and no non-investment fund, amass a fortune worth $500 million? And that's what they're going to be looking at next. They are going to be looking at the financial details, right? Because that information is going to be in there. Right? So, through a connection, he landed at Bear Stearns, right, in the 80s, and he founded Epstein and Company. Basically, what was his business model? Well, exclusive financial advice, quote unquote, whatever that means, for billionaires who did not want Wall Street attention. Okay, so one of those clients was Lee Wexner, the billionaire behind Virginia's Secret. Another one was Leon Black, the Apollo Global Management founder. Senate records show that between 2013 and 2017, Black paid Epstein roughly $170 million for tax, quote unquote, and estate planning advice. Okay? So Black paid Epstein roughly $170 million. Black said Epstein helped him save billions in taxes and that it was, quote, a horrible mistake. But there's a thing, Epstein had no formal tax credentials. He wasn't a lawyer. He wasn't a CPA. So what exactly was he doing to justify those enormous fees? Even the Senate Finance Committee admits no one can fully explain how Epstein earned that kind of money, or whether some payments were covers for something else. And that's what they're going to do next. Once the government opens up, they are going to take a look at it. They are going to see what's going on. Even the Senate Finance Committee, imagine. So what does this leave us? Well, the Epstein File are not just about one man's crime. It's about intersection of wealth, power, and impunity. A Department of Justice that seem unwilling to expose every name. A royal family facing one of the most embarrassing scandals. You thought this was all over. It's not over. They're pushing on the prince, former prince, but now the government's going to reopen, and then they're going to want to know where did the money go, who paid him, why. Right now, Bank of America and Bank of New York are being sued again because of Epstein. So the world is asking, who helped Epstein, who protected him, and who profited? The truth, we still don't know everything. And that's the scariest part of this story. I mean, the survivors, deserve answer. The public deserves transparency, and justice, real justice, requires that every file, every name, and every secret finally see the light of day. That's what was promised. So, essentially, what you need to look out for is the following. Once the government opens up, you're basically going to have the 218 votes allowed to be shown, right? They're going to come out and they're going to show you. And they're going to have to explain, and of course, when I say the 218 votes, yeah, we're going to have 218 votes, but you have to make sure that, first of all, because with the 218 votes, basically what's going to do, that's going to force a vote on the floor to release all information about Epstein. That's what it's going to be doing. Then, once that is done, it needs to be voted on, right? It needs to be basically it needs to go to the floor, even if the Speaker of the House says no. Then, of course, the President will need to opine on it and sign for it, or for all that information to be released. We shall see. We shall see. But I think this time around, they really want to do something. They really want to show what is going on, and they are going to get somewhere the same way they got somewhere with the prince. They got somewhere with his beautiful 30-bedroom house mansion. They got away with all of his titles. Okay. Also, they are thinking of going after the monarchy, quite frankly, because I say, well, how did you allow such a deal to happen? I mean, but keep in mind, the lease proves highly protective of Andrew's rights, meaning early surrender may involve significant compensation or legal negotiation. He hasn't actually left yet. So for the Crown Estate, renewed scrutiny on how leases with royals and other privileged tenants are structured and enforced. For the monarchy, this may mark a shift toward more formalized oversight of royal assets and a reduction in privilege by default arrangements. That is what you need to look out for. That is what you need to be concerned about. Because obviously, if when it goes to the U.S. and some people don't want information to be released, especially on the Republican side, which they haven't fared too well in the recent election, that's going to be a problem. That's going to be a lot of problem. Okay, so that is something that